Virginia leads the series 44-40 after a 5-set victory in Blacksburg on Wednesday. Off we go, Virginia Tech in the orange, UVA in the white, and immediately the Hoos go to Caroline Lang, their young freshman middle.
Early net call on Virginia, gives Virginia Tech the first point. And, you know, that's going to be one of the keys to the match today, Corey, is which team can have better net presence and make their block felt.
Yeah, we spoke with Shannon Wells prior to the match today, and she said our block against the Hokies on Wednesday was non-existent, but mostly because Virginia Tech runs such a fast offense. Here's Lang demolishing it out.
Ooh, just long in that swing from Lang. And that's a great point about the balance. You know, in Wednesday's match, when these two squared off, UVA's middles only got set about 13% of the time. She'd really like that number to be higher.
Reagan Ennis wearing number 2, devouring a lot of those opportunities, as she has right here. But again, it's launched long.
Wow. Boy, you know, sometimes you're on your home court against an in-state rival and you want to make a statement. Just sailing a little bit long, maybe trying to go high hands. We'll get a good look at it here. Yeah, just long.
You got to imagine the adrenaline is there for a 17-year-old playing in this type of venue for the first time against your rival. Now, Virginia has played here a couple of times this season, a couple of losses against Stanford and Cal. Here's Ennis, tries to go cross court, denied by the libero Ivy Cooper for Virginia Tech. And it ends up in another Hokies point. This is a fantastic start for the visitors.
Yeah, when you're in between matches, especially how it ended on Wednesday night, that 5-set thriller, Virginia Tech had opportunities to win that match, Corey. And so Coach Byers came in saying, we can just clean up a few things, make a few adjustments. We should be in the driver's seat. Yeah,
Virginia Tech won the first 2 sets of that match on Wednesday, had a 22-20 lead in the third. Then UVA scored 5 straight to extend the match to 4 and then eventually 5. Miscommunication from the Hokies, and finally UVA's on the board.
Oh my, that's the kiss of death there, waiting for that second contact that lands in the middle of the campfire. When you're trying to make a statement, particularly on the road, that's one of those miscues you just can't have. See if UVA can capitalize and turn it into a mini run of their own.
Katie Barrier back to serve here, the transfer from Tennessee. 16 or more digs in 3 of her last 4. She's been playing well. Camilla Brandalise on the setup. Virginia has the point. Reese Hazelton could not convert on the kill try.
Virginia's block will give you a little bit of an alley down the line, but you better hit it well. The set's got to be to location. Everything's got to line up. Just over-rotated a little bit there.
Brandalise to the middle for Izzy Mishler, the sophomore who barely played last season, getting more and more reps now in year number 2. UVA out of system. Lauren Bowie denied by Mishler. She had a fantastic match against the Hoos back on Wednesday. Tied her career high with 14 kills and added 5 big blocks.
Oh, that's big time, especially, you know, UVA wants to get Lauren Bowie involved in the offense early. Ball's a little bit underset, but the block read it well.
Virginia Tech very young in the middle category with Mishler and then the freshman Brianna Holiday.
Yeah, you can already tell part of the game plan coming in today, Corey, was for UVA to get their middle offense, not just the middles, but bringing their outside hitters in, bringing some crossing patterns. They want to test the middle blocking of Virginia Tech.
Here's Ennis, dials it up, tooling it off the block. Yes, ma'am.
She is so good at reading the court and understanding angles. That sharp cross court is a money shot. When you think about the length and athleticism, just look at this elevation and out of system. The ball's coming over her shoulder. It's inside the court. You got to go get that ball in a hurry to hit that angle. 7 straight matches for Ennis with at least 11 kills. A couple of weeks ago against Syracuse, set the Virginia freshman record with 32 kills against the Orange on a program record 89 swings. Remarkable. Here's Meredith Reig to serve, the junior DS from Raleigh. That one's out. And UVA creeping a bit closer. Service pressure is going to be a huge element to whoever wins this match and can set the tone. Both teams kind of went back and forth on Wednesday night in terms of getting the other out of system, service aces, service errors. Whoever's in a better rhythm is going to have the catbird seat today.
Zoe Dode goes for a swing as the setter. Doesn't capitalize there. Virginia's block just a bit too late.
Wow.
Ainsley Ranstead, the graduate student transfer from SIUE.
Yeah, Ranstead a little bit lucky. That ball hit the top of the tape, kind of trickled over. The block was a little bit late. Sure, her next attempt, she'll give herself more margin for error.
Here's Mishler to serve. Dode to Jasmine Robinson, the former Hokie, denied by her former team.
Great read there by Peyton Woods on the left side. And this rotation, Virginia Tech does not have their libero. You've got Mishler back there serving, playing left back defense. I think that's where she was trying to go with the ball. Great read by the block.
Oh, off the overpass. It just went off the fingers that time of Woods.
Both teams have had a couple of points now that have gotten away from them that normally would be routine.
You'd have to imagine it's a little funky, right? Playing in this building with this many fans in attendance. The depth perception's a little bit different. Some things to get used to early in the match.
100%. And really for both teams that you mentioned, UVA hasn't been in this venue very often, so I'm sure both teams will settle in as the match progresses.
Here's Dode, one of the two setters normally used by Coach Wells alongside Hannah Scott. Now Woods inside the 10-foot line. Rally continues. Dode always aggressive and lands it home.
Boy, the advantage of being able to swing with the left hand when you're a setter is huge in rallies like that. Not just a setter dump, but a full swing. I mean, this is a beach play, straight down the middle. Holiday had already vacated as a middle blocker, wide open net.
Here's Woods once again, and that time annihilates it down.
Yeah, she's making up for that overpass swing that she didn't have a good contact, and good hitters will do that. Hey, if I have a miscue or, you know, an error on my side, give me the ball again. Let me put it in.
Virginia Tech at 9-9, one ACC win against Boston College. The Hoos with a couple of wins in the ACC, both in 5 sets against the Cuse and the Hokies 4 days ago. Here's Cadence Booth. Great to have her back from injury. 12 in the white, outside hitter. Gets in the way of that one. Popped right back up to the opposite side for Woods. And is ready for it in the back row. Booth lines it up. Tries to hammer it off the block. Unsuccessful that time. That's just a bit out from Sarah Malinowski, the veteran with the Hokies. Her 4th year with Virginia Tech, a senior from Chantilly, Virginia.
Yeah, just a few unforced errors from the Hokies here early, kind of keeping Virginia in it in the early going. But I'm still waiting to see Cadence Booth take a full swing. Her first 3 attempts were off speed. I think she's just trying to find her rhythm coming back.
Yeah, she missed 6 consecutive matches, then returned against Notre Dame. She's been back in the fold now for the last 4. A huge swing from Caroline Lang, the 6'3" freshman who's only been playing volleyball for about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, and when you're in a more traditional 5-1 look and you can split the block, that means running a hitter behind the setter and keeping one in front of the setter. That really stresses the middle blocker, and that had a one-on-one look there. Good swing from Lang.
Brandalise and Woods just could not get there in time. And after that very sluggish start from UVA, the Hoos battled back. We're tied at 9. And Shannon Wells was just so impressed with her team's stick-to-itiveness back on Wednesday, going down by a couple of sets, facing a 22-20 deficit in the 3rd, facing a 4-point deficit in the 5th as well. Found a way to win.
Yeah, it's about weathering those storms. And in this sport, Corey, momentum can change on a dime, super fast. You can be on a 3 or 4 point run, and all of a sudden you're down 3 or 4 points. So mentally being able to weather those storms, stay focused, control the controllables, and her team has done a really good job of that.
The Hoos, the first to double digits today, Ennis with her 2nd kill of the afternoon. We mentioned off the top that she's 17 years old. She'll finally turn 18 next Sunday, by the way, if you're checking your calendar. Wow.
Just super impressive stuff from the freshman. We mentioned it at the top, but I don't think we can overstate it, Corey. Someone coming in that young, having this kind of success and impact this early, and the sky's the limit. It's wheels up for her when you think about the longevity, and you need players like her if you really want to elevate this program, she's someone you can build around.
She's from Clifton Park, New York, which is in the Saratoga area. Corey, you've coached volleyball for a long time. You don't find many prized recruits up in that area. For her to stand out that much and be a part of this team in this conference speaks volumes to her level of play.
It really does.
Dode, Ennis from the back row. Just a bit too much muscle on that one.
I think initially her teammates thought there might have been a touch off the block. She wants that swing back. But, you know, we're seeing Erica Fava serving the ball going at Cadence Booth. See if she targets her again. When someone's coming off of, you know, being out for a while, you want to see what kind of rhythm they're in and use them as a serving target.
Excellent start here for Caroline Lang, who has been busy and has been aggressive, and you would not be able to tell that she is a relatively inexperienced player.
Yeah, this is already a different look from what the Hokies saw on Wednesday night. They didn't see the middles of UVA as involved, so it's just a different look and different area of the court the middles have to focus on.
Fava to Ranstead. Waiting for it, barrier, back row attack, Ennis. Does not matter where she is on the floor. She's effective everywhere.
Well, and we've already seen she does what great hitters do. They make adjustments. Her first couple of swings went long. She had to find the court. Then she scored a couple of balls. That first back row attack went wide. That time, meat of the court. So she's making good adjustments in real time.
That's an ace.
Oh, wow.
Zoe Dode with the perfect placement.
Yeah, already with 15 service aces coming in, she has another one. There are so many servers for UVA that can serve bullets. It's a real weapon when they're all locked in.
Ranstead off the block. 14-12, Virginia Tech closes it down to 2.
And you wondered what Virginia Tech would do to kind of stop the momentum and get things back on their side. They can play a little bit cleaner. They're still very much in this first set.
And no kills yet from their middles in Holiday and Mishler. Just something to keep in mind after Mishler had the 14 on Wednesday. All right, Virginia Tech down by 1. Nice service there from Ivy Cooper, freshman from Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Yeah, if she does the same ball again, you can see it just die, and we used to call that the meatball rolling off the table. There's not a lot you can do in that situation, but that passer's got to really lock in and realize it's going to die on them. They got to step forward.
No meatballs here at our table, unfortunately.
That's right. Making me hungry for lunch.
Yes, sir. Scott Lang nullified in the front. There's Mishler.
And now you're starting to see that cat and mouse game really take shape. Okay, Lang has been hot. She's someone on a perfect pass we got a key on. And what happens now? You see Mishler ready for it. She uses her eye sequencing, gets right in front of that attack lane. Good block.
Couple of blocks now for the Hokies. Scott, Lang on the slide. Zaleski in the perfect spot for Virginia Tech. Now it's Ranstead. And Booth. 15-14 UVA in this tight back and forth first set here from John Paul Jones Arena. Back in a moment.
So hitters are going to get a larger volume of the sets. That's normal in volleyball, but 62 up to 70% that's pretty much you're either out of system most of the time or your middles are barely involved. You see that 13% there for UVA. They really wanted to balance that more coming into the match, and I think they've already established that they want to get their middles more involved.
And the two main outsides for UVA and Ennis and Booth, they combined for 62% of the total attacks against Virginia Tech back on Wednesday. So yeah, kind of a different story today.
Oh my.
Jubilation on the Who's side.
Yeah, the off-speed plays a factor, especially in scramble drill. You see both teams kind of scrambling a little bit. You know, from the floor, scoring from a down ball, boy, you hope to just get it in play, but smart shot to the right back.
Certainly have to commend the effort there of Katie Barrier, exerting every ounce of her energy to get to that ball. And now the Hoos have a couple straight out of the break.
Yeah, and this is a moment where you can seize it and be the first to 20. That's UVA's goal right now on their home court. Let's come out and establish a big lead, which we didn't do Wednesday. Flip the script, be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and Corey, the Hoos have not gotten off to great starts overall this season. They've only won the first set 4 times. This is their 18th match. Dulesky to the middle, and Virginia Tech's got the point. Mishler just enough.
Yeah, that center-hitter connection in the middle has just got to be a little bit better for the Hokies. We saw a couple of balls where Mishler just had to kind of tip, go off speed. And with the defense being right there, you wonder, could she swing, or is that something she's seeing offensively? And you also look at some of the unforced errors. Right now, UVA has 1 block with 6 unforced hitting errors. That's 5 balls in the net out of bounds. If Virginia Tech can play a little bit cleaner, that's how they work themselves back into this first set.
And Coach Wells was pretty honest in her evaluation of the match on Wednesday. She said, I'd imagine from the Virginia Tech standpoint, they feel like they kind of gave away that match.
That's exactly right. And, you know, talking and knowing both of these coaches, that's the sense coming away. You know, one team took advantage of the opportunities. That was UVA. They came away victorious. And if you're Virginia Tech, you feel like you let one slip away.
Barrier causing some problems on serve. Would have been a free ball for UVA, but no need as Fava shoots it out.
Yeah, no surprise timeout here from Coach Byers. She understands that this is a critical juncture in this first set and probably the match.
This is next week's featured ACC Network Women's Soccer Top 10 doubleheader. Thursday night at 6 Eastern. Number 3 Virginia hosting number 7 Florida State. That's going to be a good one over at Klockner Stadium. Then number 1 Notre Dame and Izzy Angle. They're in Blacksburg taking on Virginia Tech. Both are also available on the all-new ESPN app. John Paul Jones Arena, the site of the 5th ever volleyball match for UVA. First time UVA ever played in this facility was back in 2023 against Virginia Tech, and it was a 5-set thriller. We've become accustomed to those between these two teams. Abby Tatter, former Who, fantastic in that match with 18 kills, hit .441, and it was a great celebration here inside of JPJ and a great reminder of how awesome this sport is when it's well attended and it has the figures like we're expecting today as well.
It's really boomed over the last few years, especially, Corey. I mean, you think back to, 3 years ago when Nebraska had the first outdoor match that had, 90,000 people, set the record for the highest attendance women's sporting event, not just volleyball, but women's sporting event in history. And then just more recently, last year, Louisville hosting Nebraska on ABC Network. They had a sellout crowd at the Yum Center. Just recently on Friday night, Georgia had over 8,000 fans at their home match. So the sport is growing, and these kinds of atmospheres are electric for both teams.
And we are certainly paying attention to the Pitt-Louisville match. It's happening in the Bluegrass State. Top 10 matchup there as we resume play here in Charlottesville. Fava out of system, out of the break for Ranstead. Now UVA's got it. Booth with a beam right down the fairway.
And I love how she has started to go full swing. She's finding her rhythm. The first couple of attempts, when you've been out for so long, you're kind of feeling out the court, right? You're peppering things, trying to find your rhythm. But boy, how huge would it be for UVA if she can find that full swing mentality for the rest of this match?
KB tied her career high with 13 kills against the Hokies the other night. Oh my goodness, Katie Barrier, another stupendous dig. Mishler sent away. Robinson and Ennis in the front row for the Hoos.
Everything flowing for the Cavaliers right now. And you think about what they wanted to do coming out of this first set, and they're doing it. Great effort there by Barrier, just keeping the ball alive. And a lot of times in this sport, that's all you have to do. I'm sure Missler wants to hit a little bit better angle, kind of straight ahead, right at the teeth of the block.
Luckily for me, because my nephew was one of the managers.
Yeah, that's something you're going to talk about at Thanksgiving.
21-15 UVA. Hokies done for timeouts here in the first set. Brandalise gets it up for Hazelton. Right near the nets. Point Virginia Tech. Randstad running right into it.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate. I thought Barry had a great serve. You get him out of system right out of the gate. And you got to defend that on the back end. If you're going to work hard to get a team out of system, then it's about following up with your defense.
Virginia Tech, though, still hitting in the negatives. Now they commit an error on serve. So Randstad comes out. And replacement here is Elizabeth Aylward, the junior outside from Nashville.
Looked like that ball before it hit the tape court was tracking toward Cadence Booth again. So if you're keeping track at home of serving targets and you're kind of in the serve pass battle within the match, that's one thing to track is per rotation. What are the serving targets? Who is the other team serving at most? Because that tells you where they think they can score. So far, Cadence Booth has been the recipient of a ton coming her way.
Do you also sense that's maybe Virginia Tech's strategy to maybe wear down one of the best attacking presences that UVA has?
That definitely plays into that strategy, of course. If you have a 6-rotation player, make her receive a ton of volleyballs and try to wear her down, especially if you're anticipating, like recent history has showed us, these matches can go 5.
Yep.
And so if you're contacting the ball 100, 150 times, that takes a toll.
5 of the last 8 meetings between these two have gone the distance. That's a fortuitous tickle off the tape. And Mishler will take it.
Yeah, just like you draw it up, going for those net clippers. Virginia Tech would love nothing more than to get some service pressure here, get a couple of balls to bounce their way.
That's a tough one there for the Hokies. Virginia Tech has always been a very aggressive serving team. That's always been part of the DNA of Marcy Byers. In fact, they're second in the conference in aces.
That's a part of their game. That's a staple they want to hang their hat on.
Miami, the only team averaging more aces per set this season. Virginia 2 points away from taking the first, which they have not done all that often this year, but we'll put a pin in that conversation. Hokies trail by 4.
Yeah, definitely Reagan Ennis wants that swing back. She saw that the left front zone was open, just couldn't get a good connection there. I would not be shocked if they set her again right away.
Well, Ennis was, of course, busy against the Hokies on Wednesday, but even busier in the 5th set, had 6 kills of the 15 points. And now it's set point for UVA here at home.
Now we're well into the season now where teams have started to identify and carve out roles for their players. You know who the horse is going to be in certain situations depending on the rotation, and you know who you trust to get the ball, and she's proven to be one of those players.
Kate Johnson is in, she serves, and it's an ace. How about that? Johnson called off the bench, delivers for the Hoos. Virginia wins the first set by half a dozen points.
Backing line, the service errors, so if they can play cleaner, that's going to be a key factor for them getting back into this thing.
Cadence Booth pops the cork here on set 2. That goes off the hands of Scott. And Virginia Tech, just like it did in set 1, has the first point here in set number 2.
A really smart shot by Woods. She recognized that with Virginia's defense, they're rotating their middle back player down the line, which leaves kind of a big hole in the 6 zone or the middle back part of the back court. So if you can hit that zone with any kind of pace and make them adjust, it's probably going to score.
Now they go towards back right for the Hoos. Virginia with the answer.
Yeah, great shot by Bowie there. We haven't really seen a good line shot from her yet. That's in her repertoire, of course, but the set's got to be location. You see the hip turn, thumb down, threads the needle perfectly.
Bowie very effective in the match against Louisville a couple of weeks back. 10 kills at 526. No errors in that match. Woods!
Wow. Well,
she hung up there.
She's starting to heat up, and when good players start to feel the rhythm, watch out. But it started with a great pass. You know, that was on the money from the libero Cooper. And if Virginia Tech can stay in system, they're so dangerous.
Woods now with 4 kills on 10 swings, hitting 200. Ainsley Randstead has the team lead. 5 kills, 13 swings in the opening set. Only had 20 tries in the 5-setter back on Wednesday.
Yep.
Now Erica Dulesky serves. Virginia in system. Scott Tabui, cross court. Oh, wow. The dig from Virginia Tech. Enist. She finds the space.
Yeah, that's the exact opposite of what we saw from Woods earlier. The middle back defender for Virginia Tech is staying at home in the middle back position of the court, which leaves the right back corner, the one zone, open for that line shot. So both outside hitters doing a great job of seeing the court early, finding the hole.
Dulesky on the setup for Woods.
Boy, Virginia Tech would love nothing more than to see Woods get into a rhythm and really spark something here. And probably the only downside is she's rotating off the court or going back to serve. But one of the things that you really want when you're down 0-1 on the road, you need a couple of players to just be consistent and to point score when they have opportunities. And she's done that here to give them the 3-2 lead.
And you need your veterans to be your veterans.
100%.
Creeping towards 200 kills in her first season with Virginia Tech. Error on serve for Virginia Tech. That's the 3rd of the match for the Hokies.
Yeah, with Robinson in the front row for UVA, with the front row setter, I'd watch the slide and transition. That's been an area she's point scored.
And she's a very intimidating presence at the net. She'll stare at you from across. Ace! Enist! Any category you want, she excels.
Yeah, boy, Cooper had trouble adjusting. That's that meatball off the table, Corey. It just kind of dies all of a sudden, and you got to lunge forward. It's almost like a defensive mindset. You got to defend the serve, not just pass.
Turkey meat, straight beef, what are we talking here?
Let's go fried.
Oh, okay.
State fair's going on right now.
Sure.
Let's go.
This could be trouble for Reed. Ran into a fan, but play continues. Dode. Barrier out of system. Booth waits for it and answers with a hammer.
Oh, my. You have to love just the infectious enthusiasm. Look at the moxie from Booth. Again, coming in, not having been on the court for the last few matches, but she is making her presence felt often and early here.
Senior in her 2nd season with UVA, transfer from Tennessee, just like Katie Barrier. Dulesky to the right side hitter, Malinowski. Good dig from Reed, now it's Booth. Took something off that time.
Good coverage.
Jordan Hallman in the match for Virginia Tech for the first couple of rallies. Double contact is called.
Yeah, that was, sometimes the eyes get big, Corey, and you just jump a little bit early. You don't have quite enough press. That's all Robinson had to do there, was just kind of deflect the ball down. Keeping Tech within 1 here.
Ends the Virginia 3-0 run. Fava now wearing the libero shirt. Slide, Robinson on the money.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we just talked about. We've seen enough sample size now that in these 2-hitter rotations on a perfect pass, I think Virginia Tech needs to start shading their blocker, in this case Mishler, a little bit that way and anticipate the slide. At the very least, their left front blocker needs to dive in a little bit more just to give her a different look, because she's clicking right now.
Hey, when I said on the money, I wasn't referring to Jasmine. I was referring to you. With your analysis, spot on.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Johnson says, mine, my mind. Booth has another hack.
Well, taking advantage of a little bit of a late block there, kind of the teeter-totter effect. Both blockers need to jump together and time their jump well. And Booth just has such great court vision. She can see any disruption in the block and know that a tool shot's available.
Dode always have to watch out for her swinging herself. That time dished for Lang. Virginia Tech point.
Yeah, great adjustment there by Randstead, the blocker. She'd already gotten beat by Robinson on the previous slide. Making adjustment with that outside hand. We mentioned net presence earlier, and blocking, both of these teams have good blockers in their own right, but they need to be more consistent in matches like this and making those small adjustments. So great to see Randstead make that quick adjustment there against the slide.
Now the youth really permeates the middle blocking position for Virginia Tech. Holiday a freshman, Mishler a sophomore, so still plenty of time for those two pieces to develop. Branstead dug up by Bowie. Brandalise goes for it herself in a very crafty maneuver there.
Yeah, after that dig by Booth, you felt like Virginia might be in the driver's seat in that transition, but good spot, off speed by the Hokies. Just, oh man. When you're in system and you add that set or dump, it's another element to keep the team off balance.
Couple of junior college national championships for Brandalise, and the Hokies starting to find their rhythm here in the second set. Tied up at 7.
Yeah, Doe had scored on that turn and swing from that setter spot before, but again, the block is paying attention right now for the Hokies. They're locked in.
Well, there's certainly enough film on Doe to know that that's part of her repertoire. And his back row attack, clapping it off the block.
Just a great swing all around. And if you're the middle blocker, Mishler, you did what you wanted to do. You want to get a positive deflection, put the ball up for your defense, but just too much pace from the freshman and Ennis. But how impressive has she been?
7 kills, 333 already. Shannon Wells said before the season even started, Reagan is the type of player that wants to take the big swing. Brandalise, short little set, didn't work for Mishler.
I think Brandalise had more room than she thought. That ball was tracking tight to the net, but I thought maybe she had to go one-handed and didn't get a good contact there. But going back to Ennis for just a moment, it's just so impressive. She's playing like a seasoned veteran. Great serve. Oh my, talk about a rocket. Not just the pace, but the location. Perfectly placed in the seam. You know, you've got Fava and Cooper talking to each other after that point. Who's going to get that seam ball? Assume it comes right back to the same spot.
Now 19 aces on the season for Dode, and you can make it 20.
Oh my gosh. Just a difficult angle. If you're going to try to get your hips behind that ball, you got to be lightning quick. That ball's on you in a hurry. Fava just couldn't handle the pace.
Dode is humming them in right now, and the Hokies need to stop this hemorrhage. Dode just absolutely flummoxing Fava. Timeout on the floor.
Boy, she has done just that. We mentioned winning the serve and pass battle is huge in any match, particularly at this level. And both teams wanted to check that box coming into today, but Virginia is ahead really by a mile. They have 5 service aces in a set and a half, when last Wednesday in the 5-setter they only had 6.
Correct.
So they are coming out firing from the service line on all cylinders.
Also had 8 service errors in that match. Let's see how the Hokies respond, and they go for a mammoth swing. Reese Hazelton, who's been very quiet so far.
Yeah, and a good adjustment. They switched their serve receive pattern coming out of the timeout just to present a different look, and that's a little nuance that coaches will do. If you're getting beat in serve receive, particularly one passer, one zone, let's rotate the passers around. Let's rotate our rotational look. So we just present different targets for the server. Good side out by the Hokies.
And a good piece of coaching there from Marcy Byers.
Oh my.
Just landing right in front of Ennis. And that's the type of response the Hokies so desperately needed, already down by a set and down 4 points at that break.
Yeah, Branstead, let's put her in the spotlight for a second. She's leading the Hokies in kills. Just got a service ace there, got him out of system here on this one. She's playing really well.
Described by her teammates as straight-faced, level-headed, in the right spot there. On the setup now for another huge swing, Hazelton.
Boy, and sometimes all you need to spark a mini run and to swing momentum is for 1 or 2 people to make a good play. Start off with a good pass and a good swing. They're playing good defense behind the service run of Branstead. See if they can keep it going.
Scott to Bowie off the block. Left-handed dig there from Fava. That's going to hit off the scoreboard, and it goes over the net, so the immediate whistle, it results in Virginia Tech's point. Had the ball gone back to UVA's side, play could have continued.
That's exactly right. So So far, the pressure, not just the service line, but the attacking, the assertiveness from the Hokies is earning these points. And how about the libero switch? Now we've got Fava wearing the libero jersey. Cooper is not, so that's another lineup change that we've seen from set 1 to set 2.
Why do you think that wrinkle has been made?
A lot of times coaches will change the libero if they feel like their passing needs to improve or their defensive intensity needs to improve. And talking with Coach Byers before the match, she really wanted to play relentless defense today. She knew how important that was against UVA on their home court. So I don't think they saw enough of the defensive intensity she wanted to see, and that's why she made the change.
Brandalise Woods at 100 miles an hour in the grill of Scott.
Yeah, this is a great test for UVA. You were victorious Wednesday night. You kind of dominate the first set statistically, and now Virginia Tech is pushing back. Can you raise your level again?
And just to kind of put in perspective, Corey, Virginia's won the last 4 sets against the Hokies dating back to Wednesday.
Yep. And to revisit a great point you made earlier, it's about the mentality and weathering these storms. That's the sport of volleyball, particularly in the ACC. There's going to be runs by your opponent. There's going to be times when they're clicking. That's not a surprise, but how can you minimize those? How can you swing momentum back on your side?
Hokies trying to get off the schneid. They've lost their last 8 road ACC matches. Ennis, Scott in system. The Charleston transfer on the special delivery for Bowie.
Boy, another great line shot from 33 and White. When she's dialed into that line shot, it's so difficult to defend. And how about this rotation right now for UVA? You've got Ennis, Robinson, and Bowie, probably the strongest rotation offensively.
Yeah, Robinson's a leaper. Bowie's got the strength. Ennis, the all-around great 6-pin rotation. Oh, you can feel the energy. You can feel the attitude. You can feel how much this means for Jasmine Robinson against those former teammates of hers.
Yeah, and boy, what a big moment. A little bit out of system. Look at the reach. And had a little conversation with the R2, the down official. Make sure you point that celebration towards your teammates.
Okay. Callie Davis over there is the R2. The R1 is Brian Jones.
The officiating crew today is one of the best in the league, and they understand in heated rivalries, they need to kind of keep an eye on how teams are celebrating and how they might be directing things.
Make sure everyone's well behaved.
100%. Yeah.
Now, Jasmine Robinson, Shannon Wells remembered competing against her, and she said, like, Jasmine was the type of player you love to have, and then you hate going against her. Like, she has that mean stare across the net. She intimidates you. And maybe she didn't put together, Jasmine, the best overall stats during her time at Virginia Tech, but you always felt her presence.
Yeah, and that's what good players mean to their teams. You might not have the quote-unquote star role or have the stats that pop off the sheet, but you can still have a huge impact by your demeanor, your swag, your moxie, just how you carry yourself on the court can be infectious for your teammates. And she's one of those players.
A couple of blocks already. Meredith Reig on serve. Dulesky and Woods tries to smack the pulp out of the volleyball. No conversion there. And it's from the 10-foot line. Hokies reset again. It's Woods off the block of Robinson and out.
So far today, she's been so much better from the left side than the right side. They're running a couple of double quicks out of the serve receive. It's like a 31 with their middle and then setting a low ball over it, trying to get that seam in the block. Gave her a great look on that first swing. Second swing, just going high hands. Great heat. Good adjustment. Jump top spin serve here.
Oh, it was pretty.
Well, first time we've seen that. She didn't have much of a runway. Usually when you see the jump top spin serve, it's all about great rhythm, and they usually start about 15, 20 feet back to give themselves a good runway. That was a little bit of a different approach there.
Teams trading serves. Ennis now gets a crack. Dulesky, back set, smothered down.
Boy, that was kind of an interesting shot. I was wondering if the officials were going to let that play. That's kind of borderline throw, material there. You have to be fast if you're going to go kind of open hand tip.
Adeline Hundle that time getting the kill that coach is questioning over here. But we resume. Booth down on the line. Flipping the white. And a Hoos 3-point lead.
And that was a similar shot we saw Innes score from in the first set, just going down the line. You see the middle back player for Virginia Tech is still playing home defense, staying in the middle back, which leaves that right back corner wide open.
The decision-making from Cadence that quickly, it's really impressive.
Yeah, she's seeing the floor well.
Dode right back to Booth, off a couple of hands, and Virginia Tech mustering maybe some confidence here.
Yeah, that was an easy read from a blocking perspective. You had laying the middle for UVA, transition in front of a front row setter, so the block could stack to one half of the net. That's why there was no seam there. Easy read for the Hokie block. What you'd love in that situation, if the middle has time, is to run a route behind the setter. Go for the slide, make the block spread. That's when you get your seams.
Kind of yanking people apart, right?
Correct.
Yeah. 18-16 our score here in the second. Virginia won the opening set 25-19. Commonwealth clash. In all sports, Virginia has claimed the last 3. Booth! Ouch.
Oh my.
But there was a touch at the net.
Yeah, in real time, I thought there was a touch at the net and the ball might be in. So if that call would not have gone the way of the Hoos, I would expect a challenge. But
well, now Marcy Byers is in conversation with the down judge, Callie Davis, trying to determine if she should challenge. Each coach gets a couple of challenges to begin the match. We've not had one just yet, but we'll resume.
The reaction from the Virginia Tech players kind of told you there might have been a touch. No one was adamantly fighting for a challenge from their coach.
Brandalise for Hazelton. Brandalise again tries the right side. Virginia's in the perfect spots. Hokies somehow dig it up. Dode and Booth take something off it. And Virginia Tech again ready for that. It feels like when Cadence rips into one, good things happen for UVA. When she's not putting her all into it, different story.
Yeah, that was a transition issue. She didn't quite get all the way back. Was a bang-bang play. Very difficult for outside hitters to get a full transition in those situations. But when you don't have a full transition and a full approach, all you have is the off-speed shot. So the block from Virginia Tech recognizing that she wasn't coming full speed, and that was going to be her only option. So they delayed, went up and pressed, and we call that kind of cherry picking off the tree. But great relentless defense. I mean, Virginia Tech stayed in that rally by disciplined defense. They need to continue.
That's an easy can of corn for Mishler.
Yeah. Crucial time in the match right now, so perfect opportunity for the Hokies to battle in.
Cherry picking, by the way, a great fall activity.
It's tremendous.
Apple picking.
Yeah, especially if you're in the DC area. There's probably no better place. But this is a key rotation here. So you've got all 3 hitters for UVA in Booth, Bowie, and Lang are stacked to the left side. So if you can serve and get them out of system, make them one-dimensional. Rain said wants that one back 100%. That's, you know, when I was coaching Corey, we would have good misses and bad misses. You could stomach the good misses, but the bad misses were the ones you definitely wanted to adjust and you wanted back. UVA keeps their lead.
Not that time for barrier on the pickup.
Yeah, absolutely love that play call, bringing Hazelton in the middle. We mentioned at the top that Virginia Tech does run a quick offense. They're fairly balanced. We didn't really dive into how they move their hitters around, which is another wrinkle you see with their offense. They'll bring their outside hitters to the inside. They'll bring their middles out on slides and 31s, try to keep the block guessing.
Well, normally on first contact, Virginia Tech looks for the middles. In transition, that's when they start to use the pins. Speaking of pins, Bowie.
Yeah, she is really going to be a weapon in transition. You know, it's such a fast tempo to her when they're in system. But she can hit sharp cross, deep line, puts a lot of stress on the block to be able to make a quick read.
Well, this UVA team has experienced so many injuries throughout the season. They've battled through. Bowie being one of those players who was kind of played through an injury to be there for her team. Here's Scott, set up Robinson. Pop back up by Barrier. Two-handed punch here by Bowie, who's right near us. And then the point. Yes, Lauren, we're okay. We promise. We're all right. Well, worry about yourself. We're good. We're all good.
Boy, just the wherewithal. There is a young person in front of our bench that's part of the ball rotation crew. Just making sure that that person's none the worse for wear. But looks like she's okay.
Thank goodness.
Yep, but had a 3D look of one of these athletes coming right
I was ready. I was ready.
Oh my, yeah.
Those people need a round of applause for the efforts they're putting in.
For sure. If you're not used to hosting a volleyball event, there are different logistics that go into that. Moving equipment, you know, putting down a certain different floor, the lining of the court, like all of those pieces. It's just a different element. And so hats off to the crew here for getting it done.
And his Terraflex surface has to move around a little bit through all the different venues. Done a great job. Virginia 3 points away from taking a 2-0 lead. We're going to hear from Shannon Wells at the conclusion of set number 2. Bowie is saying, hey, there's a touch, and the R1's like, I'm right in front of it.
She was campaigning, and a very good campaign job, but that ball clearly went off the top of the tape. And
the conference.
That's exactly right, and anyone who is attuned to what happened Wednesday probably knew this was a match. You got to strap in, have the popcorn ready, because it might go the distance.
Out of the timeout from UVA, the serve from Reese Hazelton. This is Booth from the back row, dug up by Fava. Brandelis to Woods, cranks it towards the back. Scott across, Ennist, Joust. We roll along. Set it up now for Woods. Forehands over there for UVA. Robinson and Bowie.
Yeah, we just mentioned out-of-system attacking, having hittable sets, having those opportunities was going to be huge. And we saw 2 or 3 tight balls in that rally. And with both of these teams and the blockers they have, that's the last place you want to be.
And you know what? That's not the usual tempo from Virginia Tech. This is usually a fast-paced offense, so that allowed a lot of time for those 2 blockers for UVA to get over there.
100%.
Another great serve. Reed with the fist bump.
Yeah, and much like going after Booth on the other side of the net, I think the UVA serve, the folks that are serving for UVA are targeting Fava, the libero, which normally you wouldn't do, but she has had her moments of breakdown so far.
Fava successful in serve receive that time, but Virginia Tech too long. UVA is claiming, nope, we didn't touch it. This is our point.
Together and work, you want your defense and your offense. And so far, the defense has kept them in the first couple of sets and spots, but their offense needs to really pick up, particularly at the pins.
All right, for the 3rd consecutive set here, Virginia Tech gets the first point. It's an ace from Camilla Brandelis.
Now, we've seen spurts of service pressure from both teams, but we haven't seen one team really command and dictate play from the service line for more than 3 or 4 points.
Yeah. Well, Brandelis is Virginia Tech's best server. That is now 23 aces on the season for her. Transfer from Florida Southwestern State. Ennis stepping into one. Out.
Boy, just missing wide. She really wound up on that one. And that cross-court shot is there. The depth of the left-back defender gives her that window. Just didn't quite execute.
Brandelis again. Hannah Scott over to Bowie. She says there was a touch. Yep, she's correct.
Eye off the hands. Boy, the last 2 serves from Brandelis have been rockets, and UVA is just passing dimes. So I think you have to tip the cap here. UVA has settled in well in their serve receive. I can't remember the last time the Hokies got them way out of system.
It's amazing, Corey. Like, we talk to coaches all the time. We say, you know, what are your keys to the match? And at the end of the day, it's all about serving and passing, serving and passing.
Yeah, it's, you know, who wins the turnover battle in football, and, you know, your field goal percentage and your free throw percentage in basketball. It's the same for volleyball. It's, if you can win serve and pass, you're probably going to win the match. It's almost that simple in most cases.
3-1 Hokies early on in the third. Bowie floats it over. A dig from Fava. No, not a dig. And Fava's like, come on, I got it, I promise you.
Pleading her case, and I don't know if we're going to see a challenge here, but she immediately got up and looked at Coach Byers. But get a better look at it here. Just still moving. Reaching that outside hand, kind of shielded from her body. Couldn't get a clean look, maybe a better angle if the feet aren't in the way, but nonetheless, we continue on.
Fava clean and serve receive. Woods touches the antenna.
Yeah, just another tight set. As tightly contested matches progress, you need to make sure that you give your hitters opportunities to swing. You got to have hittable sets, especially in kind of what we call the junk plays, when things are out of system or kind of bang bang. Good disguise there from Hazelton. And that's another aspect, Corey, that the short tip has scored really for both teams, kind of attacking the front third of the court when they've, you know, weaved it in here and there. See if one team starts to take that away. Great serve.
Mishler, a beauty. But again, UVA ready for it. Continues the rally until it's shut off by Hazelton.
And I knew that was coming. Hazelton with the stare down. And Brian Jones, our R1, does a fabulous job. Like you mentioned earlier, you're kind of watching the kiddies on the playground, making sure no fights break out.
Reed elevates it. Now it's Ennist, palming it over and in.
Yeah, and that's a key moment, too, because in that rotation, you do not have a libero on the court for Virginia Tech. Fava is off the court for that one rotation, so you've got Mishler, a middle, playing left back defense. A little bit of miscommunication on whose responsibility that was.
9 kills now on the board for Ennist. Brandelis, an elevated ball for Hazelton. Back row attack, Ennist. Stopped by Brandelis. Another back row try, this time from the Hokies and Ranstead for contacts, UVA points.
Yeah, that set from Fava intended for Ranstead was just a little bit low and away. When you're a right-handed attacker, this is a difficult angle.
Ennist has an ace already today. Another crisp offering from Fava. Antenna's moving. UVA point. Mistake there from Hazelton.
Yeah, a few unforced errors starting to mount here for the Hokies, and that was a key factor in Wednesday night's loss. But again, another serve going to the libero of Virginia Tech, Fava. See if Ennist hits her again. She does.
Brandelis. Woods whacks it.
Boy. When you have a clean setter hitter connection and a ball in the zone, these pin hitters for Virginia Tech can be lethal. We've seen it time and again. I'm sure Dude, the right front blocker for Virginia, wanted to be a little bit further out, gave her a little too much line.
Doe to Booth. Oh, finding the seam.
Great swing by Booth. Oh my. You love having her back on the floor if you're the Who's, for sure.
6 straight matches without her, returned against Notre Dame, 13 kills against Louisville, a career high, tied that career high against Virginia Tech 4 nights ago, and Booth with 9 kills now today. Woods using to the net, but not to her advantage.
Yeah, that time the ball just dropped a little too quick, and if the ball's underset, you're going for that sharp cross-court angle. You have to get to it in a hurry. You can't let the ball drop at all, or it's going to go in the net.
Now Kate Johnson, senior for the Who's. From Florida, Shannon Wells used to coach in Gainesville. A lot of familiarity with Kate growing up. And a very reliable player in her role throughout her 4 years. She'll head off now. as Virginia Tech makes some alterations. And heading back to serve is Ece Yildiz, the sophomore from Istanbul. Her parents were in attendance in Blacksburg on Wednesday. First time they've ever been in America. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Yildiz, a cold turkey off the bench, just doesn't get it to go.
And just another move. We mentioned Coach Byers trying to enhance the backcourt digging and passing.
That's a good one from Dode. Help from Fava. Virginia, clean execution. They get it to Bowie. Now Dulesky go towards the right side on a swing here from Adeline Hundle.
Yeah, good looking swing from the freshman. And some of our first action tonight. You know, that serve from Dode was still going to that one zone, testing Yildiz. Why not go after the person who just came in the match, a little bit cold, test her passing?
Going towards that right back. Fava. Now Scott, who was 4th in the CAA in assists per set last season, and in this 2-setter rotation for Coach Wells alongside Zoe Dode, has found a nice home here in Charlottesville.
She really has. Teams trading punches right now. You kind of get the feel, Corey, that any team that can string together 3 or 4 points might be enough to win this set.
Yep. Dulesky after the ball hit the tape. No conversion there from Hundle. Booth from the back row. Stout. Mishler putting up the wall.
Yeah, great deny there from Mishler. You know, in that kind of out of system, out of rhythm play, Booth couldn't get a full steam on it, but great recognition from Mishler, just delaying her block jump, timing it well. And when you get a team out of system in the way that they can't get a full swing, those are your point scoring opportunities. Those are the balls you got to take care of.
Mishler now approaching her career high of 8 blocks. Accomplished that against Marshall mid-September. And Mishler on the right end of that one as well.
Yeah, great recognition with the back row setter for UVA. You've got the green light as a middle blocker to be super aggressive in those overpasses.
Center of the court, plenty of options for you. Makes it happen. Brandalise back on serve. And a good call there from Tegan Hogan. Virginia has been using a couple of different liberos that really started in the 3rd set against Virginia Tech back on Wednesday. They sort of had like a defensive libero in Katie Barrier and then an offensive libero in Tegan Hogan, which was an interesting dynamic for Coach Wells.
Yeah, you'll see quite a few teams run the 2 libero system where one is going to be more of your serve and pass specialist. The other one's going to be more of your defensive specialist. So you have one that you really want in your serve receive pattern, and you have one that you really want to serve and play defense, just to play to each player's strengths. Something we saw come into college volleyball a few years ago is that 2 libero system.
Yes.
If you follow international volleyball, it's been around for quite a while at that level.
And the liberos don't count towards the substitution counts of 15%.
Correct.
12-11 Hokies. How about that?
Well, they've done it with great net presence. Their block, taking care of overpasses, denying a few balls. That's been a huge difference in the last 4 or 5 points. Good serve.
And it results in an easy one for Mishler.
Yeah, Mishler actually hesitated for a second. For a moment, it looked like she was going to pass that ball and kind of run transition offense, and then she saw the hole open up in the back court, and it's kind of like we're back on the beach, you know? They just shoot it to a corner.
You know, those middles get an opportunity. Come on, go get a kill.
There you go.
Bowie!
Yeah, just a heads-up play by the veteran. Branstead, middle back, just played a little bit too shallow. When you see the hand go up of the attacker, a lot of defenders will start to charge. They expect a short tip because they recognize it's not going to be a full swing. And then really good attackers will show tip and then throw it deep.
So Bowie knows that, right? And that's
Correct.
part of the hesitation?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. It's like a guy in basketball, right? With like a little hesitation dribble, the hezzy.
Yeah.
Fake out a little bit. Okay. I like the comparison. Dode Ennis rockets from Reagan.
You know, you've seen enough of number 2 in white that you can see when she's really going after it, just how fast she gets into her step close. Watch this approach speed. She is up and through the ball now. It just, the shoulder load is so fast. The block really has no chance.
And there's not a lot going on with the feet, right? She's set, she's ready to go.
She just goes super fast. And you've been around the sport of volleyball, you can tell when a hitter is going up with ultra aggressive intentions. And she definitely did there.
Mishler putting together a nice third set here. Overall, 8 kills, hitting .429 and 6 blocks. Dode Ennis again.
And that is 2 times in a row in that rotation. When Mishler is serving, you do not have a libero, where you see the left sides for UVA targeting that deep left back or that cross-court shot where libero normally would be. So just heads-up attacking by the Hoos.
The smarts of a 17-year-old in Reagan Ennis, who turns 18 next Sunday.
Miscommunication in serve receive.
Woods lobs it over. Dode wants to take a swing. Palmed up in the air by Brandalise. Overpass, Robinson, you bet.
We call that taking out the trash. When the other team is scrambling like that, you need to hold your discipline and just get the point.
Well, it was stinky there on the Hokies side. Robinson.
Be familiar with volleyball. If they're young, maybe a new student to campus, hey, come check out volleyball. It's a really great atmosphere.
They've had some fans trickle in as well from Klockner Stadium after Virginia men's soccer beat Denver 2-1 in a match that started at 1 o'clock local. Oh my, Virginia, when the Hoos are in system, it looks so smooth for them, and specifically Reagan-esque.
Boy, she is just a weapon as the 4th attacker in these rotations. Really great stuff from the freshman.
8 straight matches now with at least 11 kills, now has a dozen. 3 straight to the Hoos.
Tight.
Hazelton thinking that there may have been a touch. Tried to influence the R1. No dice there. Timeout on the floor. Hokies take it with Marcy Byers. This is next week's featured ACC Network Women's Soccer Top 10 doubleheader. Big one Thursday night at 6 Eastern. Number 3 Virginia hosting number 7 Florida State over at Klockner Stadium. Then number 1 Notre Dame is in Blacksburg taking on Virginia Tech. Both are also available on the all-new ESPN app. It's been a big day of ACC volleyball. This is one of 8 games in the ACC today. The big one over on ESPN earlier today between Pitt and Louisville, 2 top 6 programs, and the Panthers with a road victory in 5.
Wow, so impressive. When those 2 teams battle, you know it's just a heavyweight fight. Both of these teams have been to Final Fours recently. Louisville in the championship match 2 of the last 3 years. To go into Louisville and get a win, huge for the Panthers.
The reigning National Player of the Year, Olivia Babcock, 41 kills, a career high, most by an ACC player this season. As you digest what we see around the conference, Syracuse, a team that's trying to prove itself, losing to North Carolina. The Tar Heels remain perfect. They've kind of had an easy schedule to begin ACC play. They'll get into the gauntlet of their schedule coming up. Big one between Stanford and Miami coming up as well.
Yeah, and, you know, NC State coming off a win versus Clemson on Friday night. And then going down Georgia Tech, that's a tough battle. How about Notre Dame taking a couple sets off Pitt? I mean, that's, you know, they're always in the conversation, but it proves how awesome this league is. Night in and night out, you've got to be ready to play.
Right now, 6 teams are ranked inside the ACC. Saw Louisville and Pitt. Stanford at number 5, SMU at number 8. Miami's had a really good season, up to number 14. They lost actually at Cal on Thursday in 5 sets, so they might drop a bit in the rankings, but still an overall great conference in volleyball. Jasmine Robinson pumped up as she has been all afternoon long, facing her former mates.
Again, we see great center-hitter connection happening for Virginia when she gets those opportunities. We're getting into the danger zone quickly here for Virginia Tech. They need to side out desperately.
Off some hands. Virginia rescues it. Booth lifting it over. Hundle. And Virginia just can't get to it. Woods was waiting for it just in case it went over the net. Hokies within a couple.
Yeah, that shallow right back part of the UVA defense has been an area where the Hokies can score if they can get it there. We've seen a couple of three-quarter speed swings land there for kills. That was another one.
Now Woods goes back to serve.
Much better rhythm.
Hogan in the right spot. Back row attack. Ennis clubbing it.
Wow. Against a triple block, no less. That time, the Hokies recognizing the threat with Ennis in the backcourt. That's been there all day. Let's put a different look and have triple block interface. If you're going to do that, you have to time it well. You've got to be hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder. There's too much of a seam there.
I love your X's and O's breakdown. I also love the smile on Reagan's face. And you feel the positivity, Coach, from her over the last, 10 matches or so. There's a great article from Jeff White on VirginiaSports.com. And Reagan tells Jeff, I was struggling with my confidence early on in the year. Didn't get a lot of opportunities. I think it was like 21 kills in the first 5-6 matches of the year. And she went into Shannon Wells' office. And she was honest about this. She's like, I was crying. Like, I was really upset. Didn't know how to handle it. Coach Wells kind of told me, you know what, just need to adopt the right personality, the right mentality, come into practice the next day, be yourself. Sure enough, Reagan, smile on her face, practice next day. Everything changed from there.
Tech is challenging the block touch.
Okay, so we'll see if Marcy Byers is correct here. First challenge from either team here in this one.
Yeah, those conversations you just mentioned are huge for players who are trying to really find their way, settle into their role, and what the expectation is going to be. It's quite a jump for these young ladies from high-level club to an ACC program like Virginia Tech, where you're used to being the big dog, and now you come in as a freshman and maybe you're not in that same role. Maybe it's just not executing. Maybe you're getting the opportunities, but you're just not clicking. It's a different level competition and so forth. It's a different world. Going to classes, college campus away from home, all those pieces. So you have those conversations and they bear fruit.
All right, so let's take a look. Again, this was called no touch at the net, resulting in a UVA point to put the Cavaliers up 20-16. Marcy Byers challenging it. The word we got from the R2, Callie Davis, was that there was a challenge of a net, or rather a touch here from UVA. Let's see.
Difficult to see.
You're always looking at that ball rotation, correct?
You're looking at a couple things. Do you see any finger movement, fingers bending back, of course? Then you're also looking at, does the flight of the ball change at all?
Call is confirmed. Tech will lose their challenge.
All right, Callie, thank you so much. Virginia Tech now down to one challenge.
I think two things there. One, it kind of served as a pseudo timeout because you desperately need to stop UVA's momentum. But also in those moments, you have to see something definitive in the replay to overturn the call, which we really didn't see there.
4-point cushion here for the Hoos. 5 away from taking the match. Make it 4.
Everything's clicking right now for Virginia. 4 points away from the sweep. And boy, they have weathered a couple of small storms where Virginia had all the momentum on their side. They battled back, good serving, good defense, and then they have the great equalizer in Ennis.
That time it's overcooked. Service error from the Hoos. Side out for Tech.
And I think this is actually one of UVA's toughest rotations with Booth, Bowie, and Lang in the front court, but you still have Ennis coming out of the back row, so you have 4 lethal weapons that you've got to account for defensively.
Booth. Now it's Dulesky to the opposite antenna for Ranstead. Effort there from Hogan. Center of the court. Ennis. She continues to just erupt here at JPJ.
Well, hitting over 430 for the match, 14 kills, and half of those coming out of the back row, seemingly. It's just such a weapon when you have someone that can attack at that clip with that efficiency out of the back row. You think about how many times, Corey, in a match, your team's going to be out of system, especially when you're playing against...
Continues, might be predicated on her teammates staying healthy, right? Cadence Booth came back. Yep. Lauren Bowie's been fighting through an injury. Can they get Kate Dean back on the floor, right? Having those ancillary pieces really going to help out Reagan as they move forward.
Great point.
22-17 UVA. Virginia Tech trying to string together a run here. In serve receive. They dial it up here for Hundle. And Virginia's the one that celebrates.
Yeah, good swing from Hundle, trying to go high hands. Just needs to recognize it's a little bit bigger block than you might have suspected. I mean, you've got Ennis over there. It's like trying to hit through the forest.
2 points away from the Cavaliers' fourth sweep on the season. Not enough on it that time from Booth. All right, the Hokies, they're kind of hanging on for dear life right now. What do they need to do to make this a four-set match?
Well, two things. Number one, nothing easy scores. If Virginia is going to score any more points, it has to be a full swing, an impressive shot that you can tip your cap, but nothing easy. You know, are we going to give up on our side of the court? The other thing is we got to take care of the little things. We need to cover our hitters. We need to talk on broken plays, be ready to hit out of system. Take care of overpass opportunities like that.
Which they did not. Ennis. Bowie calls it. Ennis takes a swing. Back row dig there from Yildiz. Leads to Randstead. Scott and Bowie cross court right in front of Yildiz, earning match point.
Yeah, just flirting with fire there. The Hokies had a few opportunities in that rally, just couldn't cash them in. Credit UVA for keeping their composure, staying disciplined, finishing on a great swing by Bowie.
No timeouts left for Marcy Byers, so this could be it. Match point, everyone on their feet here inside of John Paul Jones Arena on this great Sunday afternoon. Brandalise to Randstead. Barrier in the right spot. Back row attack Booth. Randstead lifts it back up to the opposite side antenna for Hazelton. Barrier, finishing off maybe with Ennis. No, says Virginia Tech and Mishler.
Boy, one of the few times they've had an answer for Ennis. And the block has come up huge in spurts for Virginia Tech. Can they string together a few more and send this to overtime?
7 blocks now for Mishler, one shy of tying her career high. Here's Randstead on serve. Her team down by 5. Now they're down by 4 after an ace.
Boy, what a great time to dial up the ace. We've seen Randstead had a couple so far today, and when her serve is on, it is a weapon. Good timeout here.
Virginia out-serving Virginia Tech, 7-5 in aces. Randstead just had an ace prior to the timeout from Coach Wells and returns to her spot on serve, facing this avalanche that is JPJ right now.
Keep an eye on Robinson on a good pass.
Okay. Instead, they go to Ennis. It's down. Hit a hand there of Hazelton. And for UVA, it is 6 consecutive sets off the Hokies. A sweep here for UVA to celebrate their JPJ Sunday.
Boy, how impressive UVA.